Okay, so if you live with other people, how many times do you really sit down and have dinner together every week? Is it maybe once, twice, 3 times? Are you good about sitting down and having dinner together every single night? Or maybe you actually never sit down and have dinner together? Well, today I am talking about 10 tips and tricks that you can use in your own home to bring family dinner back. So I have to be honest with you guys, especially during the busy sports seasons. I have 2 kids. One is a teen and one is a preteen, and sometimes it is really difficult to sit around the table and have dinner together. But we're actually in a season right now where we have some sports wrapping up and things finishing up. So we are back to all being home at the same time during dinner time. And I wanted to just share 10 tips that I use on a weekly basis to get dinner on the table easily and quickly during the week, because we all know that dreaded mom, what's for dinner is sometimes the most stressful part of our day, right? So the first tip is to meal plan. And I know I talk about this ad nauseum here on my channel, and honestly, I am not always good at doing this super consistently, but I just have to tell you, when I do meal plan the weekend before the upcoming week, my week just goes so much more smoothly, and I always have an answer to that dreaded question, Mom, what's for dinner? In fact, a lot of times I will keep my menu planner here on the counter so that everyone can just read what's for dinner. If you have like a chalkboard or a whiteboard in your house, that's a great way to do it as well. I'll link the meal planner or one similar that I use down below, but don't feel like you have to have a fancy meal planner to plan dinner. There have been many times where I have just done it on a piece of scratch paper or in a spiral notebook. Basically, the principle is that you want to plan out what you're gonna have for dinner every night. Typically, I take stock of what's in my pantry and freezer and fridge before I do that, so I can save a little money at the grocery store. But then really centering your grocery shopping around the rest of the ingredients that you're gonna need for the week is going to make your life a lot easier. And make sure that you're realistic about your meal planning, right? So if you know that you have like a busy week of after school and after work activities, just choose easier meals. No one's gonna like break into your house and berate you for having corn dogs for dinner, right? And if you need a little bit of help with your meal planning, I actually have a really comprehensive online course that you can take. It's actually 50% off right now. It's only $24 because I am closing enrollment at the end of October to redo the course for the new year. So if you want to take advantage of that sale, I'll have all the links in the description box below, along with all the other resources that I'm talking about in today's video. Okay, so the next tip that I have is to stock up and shop strategically. So what I mean by this kind of goes into the meal planning tactic that I just talked about, but really the less often that you can go to the grocery store during the week or during the month is going to save you money. Every time you go to the grocery store, every time you put in a grocery order, you just have a tendency to waste money on things that you might not need. And so looking at the sales flyers, you know, obviously if there are bulk sales, you can take advantage of those. But one other service that I always recommend is Good Chop, and they're actually sponsoring today's video. So thank you to them. I've been working with them for several months here on my channel, and you guys have seen me cook a lot of awesome dishes with their meats and seafood and chicken, and I just can't recommend them enough. But I really think that Good Chop is an awesome way to get high quality proteins delivered right to your door. And for me, it's just one extra thing that I don't have to worry about at the grocery store, right? All right, let's see what's in my Good Chop box this week. Bacon. Their bacon is like the best bacon I've ever had, for real. Shrimp. Salmon. This salmon is so good as well. It's really hard for me to find good seafood in the Midwest. That's why I love it. Steak. This is ribeye, and then New York strip steak. So I'll probably cook this in the sous vide, and then chicken breast. And some of us might live in areas where we don't always have access to high quality proteins. And so with Good Chop, you can get these delivered right to your door, contact free, super easy and stress-free. There's actually something for everyone, which is what I love as well. You can choose from over 60 high quality cuts. They have grass-fed ribeyes, T-bones, wild-caught salmon, chicken breast, pork tenderloin, ground pork, and my favorite is their bacon. If you guys have not tried the thick cut bacon from Good Chop, I highly, highly recommend it. It is one of my favorite cuts that I get in my box from them. It is unlike any other bacon that I have gotten at the grocery store. And I don't just use bacon for breakfast, right? I actually have showed here on my channel before where I meal prep bacon and I have it in the fridge ready to go for breakfast or salads, or even, you know, breakfast sandwiches or things like that. The other thing that I really love about Good Chop is that all of their items are sourced from the United States of America, and they also have a money back guarantee, so there's definitely no risk if you want to try them out. I highly, highly recommend Good Chop. In fact, I just made a homemade hibachi that I shared in my last What's for Dinner video, and I used 4 of their steaks along with their chicken breasts. I marinated them, grilled them. Oh my gosh, it was like the best dinner that I have made at home in a long time. And honestly, I had most of the stuff on hand since I got my Good Chop box delivered. I had all of those high quality proteins waiting for me that I could just throw together with other stuff that I had in my pantry and fridge. Okay, so here's the good part. You guys are gonna get a sweet discount. You can actually use my link in the description box below. Go to goodchop.com/YouTube and use code JenChapin120. That's JenChapin120. And that is going to give you $120 off across your first 4 boxes. So definitely don't miss out on this deal. Again, I'll have the link in the description box below, or you can tap the screen right here. Like I said, I've been working with them for a while and I highly, highly recommend them for access to good quality proteins, super convenient, delivered right to your door. So make sure that you take advantage of that discount today. And thank you again to Good Chop for sponsoring today's video. Okay, so the third way that you can make dinner time easier and more stress-free during the week is to prep foods ahead of time. Now, I don't necessarily mean doing like a super long, drawn-out, comprehensive meal prep, but just think about ways that you can prep certain components ahead of time. So one of the things I just talked about was like stocking up on meat with Good Chop, for example. One of the things that I like to do is I will cook like a batch of ground beef on the weekends, or I will grill up some chicken breast. Anything really that you can do to get ahead of yourself for the week ahead based on what you're going to be cooking is going to give you a leg up in the kitchen. And I know for myself, if I know that I already have a meal kind of like halfway done and planned out, I'm much more likely to actually cook that meal and follow my meal plan than obviously get frustrated and order pizza or get takeout or something like that. You can also make hamburger patties ahead of time. You can make meatballs ahead of time. Let's say you're doing a stir fry. You can chop your veggies and your meats ahead of time and just have those waiting for you in the fridge. If you're marinating chicken or steak, that's something that you can do a couple days ahead of time as well. So just get creative about which foods that you can prep ahead of time and which components of meals that you can prep ahead of time to help you get dinner on the table more quickly during the week. The next tip I have is to get your family on board. Now, I am not always super great about doing this, but I have to say that when I do, my kids are much more likely to eat what I've planned for the week, especially if they've had a say in it. My son Connor actually really likes to help me out in the kitchen as well. So if I can get his help to chop things or, you know, stir something on the stove or something like that, it just gets them more involved. So they're more likely to eat what I've cooked. And that's something that I actually do quite frequently. So if I'm making my meal plan for the week and I have zero inspiration, I'll just go to my family and I'll say, each of you pick something and that's what we're gonna have for dinner that night. That way everyone's happy and everyone gets a chance to contribute. Okay, the next tip that I have is to start the night before or the morning of. So in order to make things run smoothly, let's say for example, you know that you're gonna need 2 pounds of ground beef or some steaks or some chicken pulled out of the freezer. Make sure that you're thinking about that the night before. That's another reason why I like to have my meal planner kind of just like sitting on the counter where I can see it, because then as I'm kind of cleaning up the kitchen for the night and I'm getting ready to go to bed, I can glance at it and see the next day, oh, maybe I actually do need to like put in a grocery order and pick up something from the store if I haven't planned very well. Or maybe it's just that I need to pull something out of the freezer. Or maybe if I have a few minutes or a pocket of time, I can chop up some veggies, some onions, some carrots, some celery, something like that to save me time the next day after work. Kind of in that same vein, I also really recommend cleaning your kitchen every night and making sure that you clean up your dinner dishes and have just a clean slate for cooking every day. I know personally, I'm someone that can't stand to start cooking in a dirty kitchen. kitchen. And so if I have a dirty kitchen and it's dinner time, that's just more reason for me to like give in and order takeout. So also I recommend getting your family involved with this as well. I always have my kids help me load and unload the dishwasher. They know how to wash dishes, they can wipe down tables, they can sweep the floor. So definitely get your family involved in that, but obviously having a clean kitchen to cook in every day is something that's gonna be able to help you just have a more stress-free dinner time as well. Okay, so the sixth tip that I have is to keep a stocked pantry. And what I mean by this is keep some foods and options on hand that are easy to throw meals together. So some of the different foods that I try to keep on hand are like a boxed pizza mix. This is something that you just have to add cheese and toppings to, and boom, you have a pizza night. I also like to keep different like boxed and bagged pastas and canned veggies and different stir-fry sauces. And there's really a ton of options now at the grocery store in terms of like meal kits or things that just help you get dinner on the table easier. And so by keeping, you know, a stock of these in my pantry, I am able to put together easy meals during the week, and a lot of them have really fun flavors too, so that's something that I definitely recommend. Okay, so number 7 is to make full use of your slow cooker and your Instant Pot. I cannot tell you how much time my slow cooker and my Instant Pot save me getting dinner on the table during the week. I really love my slow cooker, especially when I'm cooking up freezer meals. I've done tons of recipes and videos here on my channel about freezer meals. I also have a membership to the Freezer Fit website. I'll link that down below as well. And you know, making freezer meals obviously is something that can save you time as well. It's not something I'm going to talk specifically about in today's video, but it is something that I use frequently with my Instant Pot and my slow cooker to get dinner on the table really quickly during the week. Obviously, slow cookers are a tool that can save you a ton of time in the kitchen, and now that we are heading into fall and winter, who doesn't love a good slow cooker meal? What I definitely really find with slow cooker meals is that a lot of people have sort of objections to them because they think that they're mushy or bland or, you know, whatever the case is. And for me, it's not necessarily what comes out of the slow cooker, but it's what you add to it, right? So think about how you can make different pasta sauces or taco fillings or sandwich fillings or things like that. Tons of different things that you can add to your meals that you've cooked in the slow cooker to just make them a little bit more exciting. Okay, another thing that I recommend is to make a list of easy dinners that your whole family likes and that you mostly always have the ingredients on hand for. So you don't necessarily have to make a list of this, but if you're a visual person and you like having a reference, it's definitely something that you can include in your meal planner. For me, I don't necessarily write it down, but I just kind of keep it in the back of my head. Like BLTs, for example, you guys see me make those all the dang time. I feel like I always have the ingredients in my house ready to go for those, and it's something that everyone likes, and it's something that I can throw together fairly quickly, which is going to save me a lot of money by not getting takeout, and it's definitely healthier as well. So maybe it's tacos, or maybe you need something even way easier, like, you know, let's buy some chicken patties from the freezer section and some buns and some chips and some fruit, and boom, we've got chicken patties and chips and fruit. Like, don't make it super complicated, right? And don't feel bad if you are feeding your family chicken patties or hot dogs or whatever. Like, I think there's this sentiment online that every single meal has to be like homemade and from scratch, and there's all these alarmists out there, you know, talking about how all of our food is poison, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, if you can put a meal on your table for your kids and you tuck them into a warm bed at night, you are one of the best moms ever, and you are definitely lucky beyond measure. Okay, so the next tip that I have is to keep a recipe binder. I've shared this many times on my channel, but it's something that I use frequently. Mine is quite large because I've had it for several years, but basically I keep all of my favorite printed out recipes in here, and I have it organized by section and protein. So let's say, for example, I have some chicken chicken and I wanna make a chicken recipe, I can easily go to, you know, the chicken section and find some inspiration. So I really like keeping printed recipes in a recipe binder. I know some people are more digital and they prefer to maybe store their recipes on Pinterest, which is definitely something that you can do. But regardless of whether you're doing it kind of in a physical format or a digital format, I highly recommend keeping a list of your favorite recipes. It's just a good resource for you to return to over and over. And it's definitely something that I use if I don't have any inspiration for what to meal plan. I'll pull out my binder, I'll flip through it, and I can almost always find something that I either already have the ingredients for or that I only need to pick up minimal ingredients for and throw it on my meal plan. Okay, so the next tip that I have is to make it fun and go easy on yourself. So sometimes I think that we are just super regimented and we think that, okay, we have to use everything in our pantry and everything in our fridge and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, if there's something that you're craving, like for example, that hibachi meal that I made last week with my good chopped meat, that was something that I kind of just decided on a whim. And I was like, okay, I'm really craving this and it sounds good. And I had a lot of fun making it, right? So make it fun. If there's some new recipe that you want to try, you know, put it on your meal plan. And also I feel like meal planning and just getting dinner on the table every single night is one of those things that you need to practice in order to be proficient at it. I think a lot of us are very hard on ourselves, and if you're not used to cooking dinner every night and sitting down together as a family, and let's say you never do it, but then the next week you're trying to do it 7 nights a week, kind of like going from 0 to 60 is not always the best plan of action when it comes to change. So cut yourself some slack, maybe set a goal that you're gonna have family dinner together 3 times a week and then move up to 5 times a week, whatever works for your family, but definitely cut yourself some slack. I think we are all super hard on ourselves, and at the end of the day, we're all just doing the best that we can. So I see you, you're doing a good job. Even if you're having corn dogs for dinner, I don't care. Corn dogs are delicious. And here's a bonus tip for you. If you have teenagers or preteens like I do, and they don't want to talk at the dinner table, and you're like, how is school? And they're like, fine. I buy these little card decks on Amazon, so I'll link some of them down below. But these are super fun. My kids really love doing them. They're just different cards and like conversation starters and questions to ask your family. And we have really had some good, you know, conversations come out of this. And I don't know, I just think it's a neat way to, you know, talk to your kids about something different that you might not normally come up with on your own. Okay, so don't forget to take advantage of that Good Chop coupon that I have for you guys. I'll have that link and all the details in the description box below, so make sure that you take advantage of that because you're gonna get a huge discount across your first 4 boxes, and that first box is gonna come to you. You're gonna love it. I know you are. They have so many different choices on there. Things that I also didn't talk about are they have a really good seafood selection. I know that, like me living in the Midwest, seafood is not something that is super accessible to me always. And so I love that I can get that from them as well. They have shrimp and different kinds of cuts of fish and crab cakes. Their crab cakes are really good. I didn't talk about those either. So thanks again to Good Chop for sponsoring, and thank you to you guys for hanging out with me today. If you have any tips that I didn't discuss and you'd like to share them, please leave them in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.